All right. Ewan Larkin, welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be incredible. We got Brian Bonilla, who's going to blast through that door and sit right there once he's here. So he'll be coming in to join as well. But we're going to get this thing rolling. I want to get to know you a little bit more. I got some fun questions. Brian's going to pepper you with some questions. I want to figure out how you two work together. Got a fun segment loaded up of overrated versus underrated versus properly rated that we'll run through as well. But really just to get to know you and what you're up to. And then we can talk a little bit about stories and what's happening in the industry.
Sounds good, man. I'm excited.
Pumped, man.
Let's do it.
So I guess first and foremost, tell us about you and your role at Ad Age.
At Ad Age, I am an agency's reporter. As people might have seen, I work a lot with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
We work under Judy and with Lindsay Rittenhouse. Brian and I tend to do a lot of the breaking news stories, but we also cover trends and features together as well too. Been here for about, oh my God, I started last April, so however long that is, like a year and 3 months or so.
And you've made quite the impression. I feel like you are just covering, you're working hard, you're breaking stories. Our nickname in the breaking entering media atmosphere for you, Ewan, is E-Scoops. So from here on out, it'll be E-Scoops.
I like that. I'll take it. Thank you.
E-Scoops, yes. And then the nickname of you and Brian working together, I've heard from the Ad Age circles, is Br-Ewan.
Yeah, I think that's like relatively new. I think they kind of came up with it and we obviously work a lot together. I think they kind of formalized that while we were in Cannes because we were doing a lot of stuff on the ground together there. I like it. It works. Absolutely. He does get the first part of it, which I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll take it.
Yeah. But it is cool to say, like, a storm's a brewing.
Yeah,
that is the name of this episode.
Nicely,
Absolutely. So you're covering agency news, and whether that's what's in the container of agency news, like new agency alert. In our world, we'll say new agency alert. They'll show creative reviews, leadership changes. What else is in your parameter?
I think we're getting more judicial about what we cover because there is so much news. You know, there's a lot of agencies launching, and we try and, we can cover a lot of stuff in the roundup that we have at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get that to have a little bit more exclusive news is there as well. So we can cover agency launches. We do executive moves as well too. I think we really like executive moves when they move just kind of beyond the hire itself. Like whether it's somebody launching a new practice at an agency or taking on a new role that hasn't existed before. Like, how do you move the story beyond the hire?
Yeah.
And what can other people in the industry learn from it,
Yeah, I can imagine how many pitches you get between you and Brian and Lindsay and Judy, just combing through all those emails. Like, I guess it just has to be newsworthy in the landscape of the industry.
It's
correct?
Hard. It's definitely hard. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that is newsworthy. It's just, a bandwidth thing. So we try our best to get that in other ways, some social content, some roundup stuff, but it's tricky. Yeah.
Like this week, I'll give some love to McCann has a new chief client officer that launched this week. I don't have the name top of mind, but just with the Sydney Rose. Sydney Rose, right?
Yep.
Sydney Rose,
yeah.
Sydney Rose news, and then Yacarino leaving X. Like, you just never know what else is gonna plop into the landscape.
Stuff comes up out of nowhere, and you have to switch plans. But I think everybody kind of understands that. Especially this year, it feels like it's been nonstop. Usually, there's a bit of a lull, I find, like after Cannes, but between the WPP news and Omnicom and IPG are getting closer and closer to closing that deal, it's just kind of nonstop. Yeah.
I would love to hear your takes on all that when Brian gets here. But first, about you.
Sure.
You're from where? Ireland? Is this correct?
Yes, I am. I am technically Irish. It's a bit of a complicated backstory, and I won't go on too long about it. But I was born in Dubai, but I am Irish passport, and then I lived in Dubai until I was 10 years old with my parents, and then we moved to South Jersey. Actually, we went from Dubai to it's always an interesting transition there. But we moved to South Jersey when I was 10, and then I lived in Jersey City for 3 years now.
Gotcha, and. Your birthday was also during Cannes, is that correct?
It was. I kept it pretty low-key. I was told to keep it pretty low-key, otherwise I would have people kind of peppering me and things like that. Right. So it was on the Tuesday of Cannes, which, it was fun to like celebrate. It's cool to be in the south of France for your birthday, but I kept it pretty chill. Honestly, there's no time to celebrate.
Was that when we were hanging out, when we took the dope photo?
I think it may have been, actually. There we go.
Should have said happy birthday. My apologies. Happy belated to you.
You're good.
And before Ad Age, you were at PR Week. Is this correct? You're covering PR agencies, a little crisis comms too?
Yeah, it was like a healthy blend of like corporate communication. So just like how brands themselves message and the way that they choose to do those things. But obviously it involves the PR agencies because they're an essential part of that process. So got to cover a lot of the likes of Weber Shandwick and Edelman and, Real Chemistry and some of those giants. But it was a lot around like crisis communications when you would get like the Brunswick groups of the world and people brought in, how do they help executives? And it was around a time, where like I think executive communications took on a lot more importance, especially around the pandemic, like people hearing from the executives. Oh, hey.
Well, here he is. The storms are brewing. Just like that. We're just talking about oil spills.
So I didn't miss anything. No, I mean, in true breaking and entering fashion, I had to break into this podcast.
Hell yeah. Don't be afraid to get that mic real close to you there, bro.
This is a new setup for me, so I'm shell-shocked.
Yeah, man.
A comfortable
nice.
chair. That's
this
crazy.
is a dream come true right here.
Heck yeah. So you're doing that. You're doing that at PR Week. Did you get the advertising marketing itch? How did you make it over to Ad Age?
I think I did. I think of the thing that, and I feel like we talked about this, Brian, maybe when I was interviewing, but like they were PR and marketing have just been moving closer and closer together. Like you have like the likes of, I would cover Day One Agency a lot, for example, and they are, a PR agency in some aspects, but they also do a lot of creative, fun influencer stuff. So those worlds were kind of bleeding together naturally. And it was something that I was interested in. And then the opportunity came up at Ad Age.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you step in there, you see Ewan interviewing. What's your reaction there?
Yeah, Ewan was he was an interesting interview because he was so energetic about the position, and it's this type of role where like you have to be like super into what's happening, or else you're really not gonna succeed. I mean, I think that's all of advertising, right? Like if you're really not into it, if you're not a student of the game, especially like, with journalism, like it's just us, it's just me, you and Judy and Lindsay, like, and that's big for
covering yeah.
So I was looking for someone that could like really step in and like basically do what I do completely, and I think we have that perfect kind of symmetry.
What is your guys' favorite story to cover, and then favorite thing Ad Age does? We'll start with Brian.
Favorite story? Yeah. Like favorite type story of story written type of story?
Type of story. Like this is on your plate. You got this is due deadline tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are you crushing?
I like doing like features that are like not about something that's been really covered. Like if we can, like I was looking back at some of my archives recently, and like I think I wrote the first story about like AI generative stuff for Ad Age like in like 2023, which feels like a long time ago when it comes to AI.
Wow.
And I remember seeing it at Cannes and seeing like a demo from like RGA and a few other agencies. I was like, guys, we got to write about this. It's like, so I like uncovering new things,
Sure.
I would say that for sure.
New tools, new systems, initiatives.
I would say like stuff that's really interesting is like you don't see it by like even like a press release or something like that. Like sometimes like a couple trend pieces are really fun, but like one piece that I really like doing was that what's the definition of an independent agency now that private equity is coming in? I know I'm opening a can of words and opening that, but the cool thing about that was it's not like there was the news and people taking PE money, but it was something that like I was just having conversations with people and they were just like, there was this tension that was coming up, and nobody was saying it out loud. And I was like, I feel like it deserves a story. And it seemed to get people talking. So that was really cool to uncover that. Stories like that, that people are like, everybody's kind of talking about it when you mention that topic, but it hasn't been brought to the surface yet.
Yeah, I did something similar about like multicultural as a term, and like is like how do you define culture, and like it's kind of like a debate within the industry, and like there's no clear answer a lot of the times, but it's interesting to get everyone's perspective out there.
Yeah, just like listen, it's the in-between moments, like those conversations that you simmer on it, and it keeps coming up and recurring. You're like, there's something here.
Right.
And you guys write those stories, and then it sparks conversation, which I think is important because we don't want this stuff to be left unsaid. I think a lot of, at least in your case here, like they're labeling and they're positioning their offering around being one thing. And if the definition's not correct, it could be faulty.
Yeah. Well, and it used to be the case, like being independent wasn't like something to be super proud of, or like, you know, and like over the years, that's just grown into something that like people are using as a way to win business, you know,
Right.
and it's pretty interesting how that has changed. It used to be like you wanted to be acquired by a holding company, you wanted to get huge and all
scale
that.
and offer more. And I'm sure there's some people that want to do that, but then now there's people that are proudly independent. They're saying like that's their whole thing.
There's so much wind at the indies' backs right now, and just like I think the feeling from a lot of people is that like some of the really strong creative work is coming from there. So I think a lot of people are, you know, they're keen, they're bullish on that title and they want to hold on to it.
Heck yeah. Let's go through a couple of more rapid fires for Ewan, and then we'll talk about how Bruin works together, and then we'll get into overrated versus underrated versus properly rated. We'll hum these thing in here. So, what is the workout regime or regimen?
It's actually changed recently. I was kind of just doing like a traditionally, you know, like chest and tries and back and buys and that kind of thing, but honestly can set me back a lot. Like I just I barely ate there, and I definitely didn't work out, and I came back 100%. And I was like, I didn't really want to go back into the same thing. So
100%.
Right now I'm kind of getting back on it, and I'm doing a little bit of like a push-pull situation.
Push-pull legs.
Push-pull. Exactly.
Push-pull, skip legs.
Yeah, skip legs, go back to pushing.
Push-pull, a little too tired for legs.
So that's what I'm getting into now, because I just need a change of pace.
Before or after work are you working out?
It varies,
During.
but typically after, I think. Yeah,
okay.
Dude,
I try to go before, but like
Brian, Brian was telling me about.
I'm like a psychopath. I'll text Gino at like random times. I'll be like, "Hey man, what's your workout routine?"
I go to bed at like an early time, and I wake up super early. Like that is the best one. Like you guys got to get on it.
No,
I've heard it's way better. It's just I like every time I set the alarm clock and I wake up and I'm like, nah.
Pre-workout.
Yeah.
You see
pre-workout? Yeah.
I had pre-workout.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. Yeah.
I do
do the NutriCost.
Bro, for me, like 10 p.m. is like the best time to work out for me.
You know who you are.
The world just like is quiet, you know. You're just like focused.
The gym is super quiet. No waiting or anything. At least for when I go, like it's nice to not have to wait for machines and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like the mornings. Look at like with the WPP news,
right?
Like, that was like 3 a.m. We had someone write about that, and then I was up at 5:40 writing stories about it, and it's like I can't.
Maybe it is a nighttime thing.
It's weird. I don't know if it's a journalist thing or.
Then you can't go to happy hours and stuff.
Yeah,
oh, you can still go.
I've done it,
Brian. Brian, you cannot do be both. Drinking before a workout. A couple drinks, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Sports teams you cheer for? Rattle them.
Manchester United is that's my team. That's like the sports team Unfortunately, they've been pretty bad recently, but that's the team that I've supported for a long time. Huge soccer fan.
Isn't that like a chalk pick? Isn't that like what everybody?
Yeah,
it used to be
kind of basic.
Here's the thing: like they were a very dominant team for a long time, and so that's why I think like people are like, oh, of course you're a United fan, and they still have that prestige. Like they're still one of the biggest clubs in the world, but they have been, for the better part of a decade, very bad. They almost got relegated last year as well too. So it seems like the tide is changing. But that's my number one team. Honestly, like I said, I didn't grow up in America, so I have no real attachment to like a football team like that. I do like the Ravens because I went to school in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I like the Ravens. I'm big into golf, so I love Shane Lowry. I know that's not a team, but Shane Lowry, an Irish golfer. So I'd say United and Shane Lowry, two unorthodox picks. So those are my top two, probably.
I'll take that. Best concert you've been to?
Best concert I've ever been to was a John Bellion concert in Copenhagen. It was like super intimate and small. There was only a handful of people there, maybe a couple hundred, so not that small. But like, I'm not big on crowds. I'm not like big on crowds altogether. So that was nice. Like it felt smaller, and I love John Bellion, so getting the chance to see him was awesome.
And the greatest place you've ever visited?
Oh man, the greatest place I've ever visited. That's a tough one. I went to Prague. I thought that was really cool. I was in Prague for a couple of days. I thought the architecture was super cool. I did do a cross-country road trip after I graduated school for 4 months, and I went to Montana and did some fly fishing there, and like got to see some national parks. That was great. And I don't know. I saw a lot of cool spots in America, like the White Sand Dunes in, I think that's New Mexico.
Yeah.
So those are some of the I love national parks, so some of those. But I liked Prague, and I like Budapest as well too.
Nice. Wow. Those are good picks.
Didn't know any of that.
Hey, now
here we go. It's all coming out on Breaking Enter.
It's time to get to know who you're pitching. So that's
I know you're gonna get a whole bunch of I was at Prague.
So real quick, just understanding how you two work together. Bruin is the name here. Like, how do you figure out who's handling stories when they come in? Just give us the high level stuff, because we got to get into overrated versus underrated.
For sure. I mean, to be clear, we didn't come up with the name. I want everyone to understand. It's not like we're.
And I didn't either.
We're not. Yeah.
I told him it kind of came up when we were in Cannes, right? That's when it got.
I don't know. Judy just started saying it.
That's sick.
And I was like, I'm glad that I'm first.
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. But yeah, how do we work together? It's interesting. Like, I think a lot of times, like, people have a tendency to like define specifically, like, all right, you do media agencies, you do creative. Like, I think publications would do that, but like for us, it's really like we cover all things agency related, and it's like whoever's available to pick something up. I think like we're both doing features, we're both doing breaking news, and it's like when it comes to like breaking news, it'll be like we're on the phone immediately, and then we'll see who's like doing something else.
Yeah.
And then I'll start reporting on, like, I'll start asking people around, and you will start writing, or vice versa, and that works. That works.
So it's collaborative.
One thing I want to say is I think why it's working so well is that Brian and I, we said it earlier, like we both really love agencies in this industry, and like, we'll hop on the phone. Sometimes it'll be like, I feel like I hear something and I'm like, I'm going to write it this way, and I'm talking about it, and Brian's like, well, there's this angle, and I'm like, oh, perfect, you go do that. And there's no like ego in the process. It's like we both realize if we work together, it's going to be a better story. And I don't know. And we're willing to, like if we hear something at 7, I'll call Brian. He would call me as well too. We sit on the phone for hours, literally hours.
There's so much news. It's like, to me, there's no time for ego. I think old school journalism used to be like, I'm gonna protect my sources. I'm gonna do all that. Bro, there's so much news happening right now that it's like, I don't care. I just want us to get it.
Yeah.
And then I'm good with that,
Right. So you're for the publication.
Right.
Yeah. You're for the team. I like that. So then, if comms people are listening, they pitch you both together. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're gonna know. Like, we're gonna, like, you're not, there's no secrets really. Like, so
scoops. Send the scoops.
Yeah. Always scoops.
Tips
always
our
scoops.
way. Yeah. I mean, we just we're in constant communication. I think that was like, it really showed nicely in Cannes when we were on the ground, like just calling each other.
That was rad.
This, that, and like that was really cool. I think that's like where we showed the relationship we had built working on news together really came out in Cannes, I think.
Love it. Well, that's good to know. Let's get into overrated versus underrated versus properly rated.
This is gonna be fun.
Let's go.
I'll say something, and then I don't know how we want to decide who's gonna go first, but I'll let you guys figure that out. So, first one is the current definition of an independent agency.
Overrated, underrated, or properly rated, right?
It's a tough one, man. The silence is
okay.
Define, or how about defining an independent agency?
The idea of like the debate around it, right?
Yes.
I would say I think it's a bit overrated. I would say I think there's a lot of like how would you call it? Like agencies just like are lacking a lot of confidence. I think they're looking at who's hot or like certain things, and they're like pinpointing like an issue, whereas I think like you should just look internally and like focus on like how to innovate and like work on yourself as an agency. I think it is important to define, I would say, and I think the definition is changing for some people. The way I define it is an agency that is still majority owned by the founders itself, but for some people that's not the case anymore. Some people are defining as like, if you have any money from an outside backer, you're not independent. So,
all right.
Yeah. What do you think, Ewan?
I would say rated is an option, right? Like the middle ground.
Properly
rated, I think. I mean, I agree a lot with what Brian said. I think it's worth a discussion just given like the influx in private equity money. But I think, sometimes like we can get too into those discussions, and it's like how much. I know that there are clients obviously that are like, I just want to work with indies, or I just need the breadth of a holding company agency. But at the end of the day, like they're buying you for the quality of your services and the people like that. So I'd like, it's a worthy discussion, but I wouldn't get bogged down in the labels all too much. If that makes sense.
Totally. Next one up is the IPG Omnicom merger talks. Is this overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
I think it's underrated right now.
I think
which
so
is kind
too.
of crazy,
'Cause
right?
it's-
So
Like,
too.
I agree. Like
no one's talking about it as much.
We forgot about it. Like I forgot about it. It's like it's looming. It's the elephant in the room. Like what is going to happen?
Well, August, right? August, supposedly.
I think it's underrated as well too. Honestly, like the WPP news cycle has kind of swept it under the radar a little bit.
I would say can as well.
Can as well too, and like some of the like Publicist's new business tear and all that stuff. A couple of big pitches that were kind of out there, but I think once it closes, that's when when the gears start turning, and that's when people will be talking about it.
Well, it's gonna it take a while too for it to kick in. So it's the merge happens, right?
Yeah.
And then we might not see the benefits of that for another 6 months. Is that, or do you think we're going to see it right away?
No, I'm sure there'll be some benefits, but the truth of it is, and the feeling in the market from people I talk to, is that it'll take a few years until you can fully understand what they're going to be, what their effect's going to be, how they will compete. And I think until then, Publicis is trying to just, take advantage, and then WPP needs to redefine its go-to-market strategy and or enforce it in a way.
The whole thing is though that like until they close, they're two separate companies, so they can't even really talk to clients about what the benefit of a merged company is, and we can't get to hear about what the benefit of bringing Axiom into the fold and things like that are. So they're limited in what they can talk about. But I do think when it closes and there'll obviously be some consolidations and things like that, then it'll ramp up a little bit. So for now, I do think underrated.
For sure. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
You're excited for that?
Yeah,
it's gonna be busy.
Dude, it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna get crazy. It's so funny to see like Publicis is like taking all the shine right now. Everybody's celebrating them. They're winning the most. It seems like WPP's struggling. It's a battle between those two.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I think people think like Publicis is winning right now, but it was like a 10-year journey for them. So like you got to understand that too. Like they're kind of reaping the benefits of what they've been building for a while.
Yeah, I was an intern in 2018 at a Publicis company, and they showed me the power of one presentation. I'm like, I don't know what this is. But we've talked about this before. They were so early on into the consolidation and all the merging of it that it was just it worked for them.
Yeah,
they made early bets. They made the right early bets, especially on some of the acquisitions too.
But the business is cyclical and it's changing rapidly with AI and principal buying and a lot of different things. So I don't want to say like it's definitive they're gonna remain where they are, but like that's what makes it interesting.
Well, how long is the King of the Hill cycle? Like how long was WPP on top for?
That's
like when we have a reset like this, can we expect Publicis to be hot for a couple years, or is it changing so much we don't know?
I think it comes down to who's leading it, right? And like Artur is like a strong leader. He's involved in all the new business, and like their board is strong, and like they have a lot of long-term veterans. So I think we can't really answer that until we really see who's leading. Like obviously Cindy now, but like who will she put in place, and then who will succeed John Wren when that happens, right? So there's a lot of questions, you know what I mean? So it's really hard to put like a timetable on it, you know what I mean?
I think, and also like Publicis, is on fire now, but if and when the Omnicom and IPG deal closes, they'll be the largest agency holding company in the world. And then the thing that we have to think about too is Accenture. Song is still there, and like Song is building up its media
There's
operation.
A lot of elements.
Like that could have serious like future implications for agency holding companies. So it'll be interesting to see as they wait further.
And like Globant like acquired. I don't know if that's a player.
There's a lot of outsiders trying to get in, and when I say outsiders, I mean just not a traditional
Deloitte Digital,
right?
Like is a thing. I
think Song has a lot of they have the capital and the pedigree right now. So if they really wanted to like disrupt the holding company market, they could. The question is, will they, and how will they? So
okay, let's move on. The death of an AOR. The AOR is dead narrative. Overrated, underrated, properly rated.
I think. Oh, I don't know if you want to go over first.
I think it's tough, right? Because like in a lot of circumstances, we are really only covering like the agency of record relationships and lead. So like to us, it can feel like, wow, there are still like a healthy mix of them out there. But I do think, talking to some executives, it feels like there is a lot of project work out there and only increasing more. Like we saw last year, And I know it's kind of changed with some of the big consolidation pitches this year, but there was a lot of rosters being brought up last year, and that's like a big jump ball situation. So I would say, I hate to be boring, but I think properly rated as well.
I would say overrated at this point, because I think we're past it. Like, I think we're like, I remember 2 years ago it was a real debate.
Oh, so you're saying it's already
No, I don't
dead.
think it's dead, but I think it's completely changed. You know, like, I think marketers aren't even looking at AOR type relationships the same anymore. Like, you look at like Vayner and like Ulta Beauty, and like there's just like a lot of agencies that are working on like, I'll work with your in-house team, I'll do a sprint model, I'll do, you know, this project work, look at High Dive, look at Quality Meats, you know, like there's a lot of people that are specializing in like getting on a roster, doing good project work. And I think that debate is like past the point of like, is it about AOR or not? I think it's like marketers don't care anymore as much about who's your I think they'll be like, this is your lead agency, but I don't think they're like as stuck on, I need one agency to do everything. And I think I don't know if we're gonna get back to where
No,
it was.
I agree. And when I say, like, when I'm thinking about the agency record, I'm thinking of like long-term retainer type relationships, because I would say like a lot of the marketers, when we cover these reviews and, you know, we're going back and forth with them, it'll be like lead creative. Like that term is seldom used anymore, agency of record, or at least in a lot of the pitches that we're covering.
Marketers don't even want to say it sometimes, which is like, I think on one hand, like, you know, it is a big bet, and marketers have an increasingly smaller window as CMOs. So they're almost scared to say, this is the partner I picked, which is unfortunate. I also think they're also not thinking about it that way, right? I think they're like, well, this agency is really good at social, and they're doing a bulk of my work, but are they my lead agency creatively? I don't know, you know? So I think that's happening. I think a lot of marketers are coming from the agency world now. I think they're way more sophisticated in terms of the structures and things like that. I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, I think that sums it up pretty nicely, actually.
Do you change your answer, Ewan?
No pressure.
So if I say overrated, that means that like it is dead, like it's over.
I don't think it's dead. I think it's more like coverage, is the conversation around it.
Yeah,
like, should people?
Yeah. Okay. Then I would go with Brian as well too.
Okay.
Overrated.
Okay. AI doomsday narrative. AI is going to take our jobs. Generative AI. Is this narrative overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
I think it's properly rated, because we're seeing a lot of like changes happening in real time. You know, right now it's production and research and like low level jobs. Like, we're going to see internships change completely. Like, how are internships defined? What type of skills are you looking at? And I think that maybe the doomsday part is the issue, but, you know, I think, the doomsday part's negative, but I think it captures the fact that like, this is probably the biggest thing disrupting the industry right now. And if you're not thinking about it, if you're not really investing in AI or thinking about how do I future-proof my agency, then you're probably behind.
Yeah. Let me reframe that. AI is going to take over our jobs. That narrative, like, as creatives.
I would kind of float in between underrated to properly rated. I do think we've talked about it a little bit, but like, I do think there's a serious talent situation coming here. Like, we've covered it a little bit, but I do think entry level jobs are increasingly going to be handled by automation. And this is not, to be clear, and people know this, but like, it's not just the advertising industry. That this is every industry that AI is affecting, and lots of those types of jobs. But I do think that in the near future, it will. There's this whole narrative that it'll create more jobs, and I do think that's true, but will it create enough jobs to replace the ones that are being taken? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but I do think it's an existential moment. You could feel it on the ground in Cannes, like behind the scenes. People are there's fear, not just on the production side. Obviously, it can handle some media tasks as well too. I think there's a storm coming. I think
there's two
storms are brewing.
There's two storms are brewing. There's two things that an executive told me recently. One person told me, it was an agency CEO, and they said coming out of Cannes, their clients were more impressed by like VO3 and what they saw from Meta than anything else, right? And then the other thing I heard, this was like earlier in the year, an agency CEO saying, he doesn't need like the hundreds of employees that they have. Like, he really realistically needs like 50 to 100. And I think it's the value of creative idea and strategy that's going to rise up to the top. And I think that's what people are thinking about right now. But long term, like, these senior executives are going to retire, so you are going to need a new wave of like young creatives to like rise up in the industry. So I think that's what people need to be thinking about. How do we make sure the industry retains that level of creative rigor and strategic thinking? Because I think a lot of people are thinking, yeah, like, oh, we have these like high level creatives that are going to do the like thinking and all that, but they're not going to be here forever. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing that, like, you know, if there are no entry level jobs for them to learn in, and the people have already talked about us that it's already hard to train entry level employees, and so like I think that situation becomes exacerbated when you have AI that's doing a lot of that entry level work. Like, upskilling and making sure people are prepared for those senior roles, I think, is a massive priority. Yeah.
Okay. So what were your answers there?
I would say properly rated to kind of underrated.
Yeah, I'll go optimistic. I'll say properly rated.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, we can do a couple more. Let's do 2 more.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick from this list here.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to go to content creators kind of being all the rage. Is this overrated, underrated, properly rated?
Want to go ahead?
No, I was just going to say if Cannes was indicative of it, I would say it's underrated. I mean, they were everywhere, and like brands were clamoring to get one-on-one meetings with them and seeing how they can, what types of partnerships they want, getting them much more involved in the process, which I think you should allow them to have some sort of flexibility and control over the process as well too. I mean, look at the acquisitions that holding companies are throwing their weight behind. Publicis made 3, I think, influencer acquisitions this year. I think it's becoming an increasing channel that people are looking to. More brands are showing up looking for them. You know, PepsiCo was meeting with a bunch of creators in Cannes, and TikTok was facilitating those deals. I think it's a massive deal. They are all the rage.
I would say underrated, especially creators as like big idea thinkers, and not just here's a sponsorship and do the thing. Like Kai Cenat, like the biggest example. He's like a modern day talk show. And I think like brands also they need to understand the data component that comes with like creators, like who are they reaching and things like that. And I think in the future we're gonna have the internet and sports as like the most organic way of like reaching people, right? So like, how do you think about that? Like, creators are at the forefront of that. And I think there's a lot of focus on how do you measure the effectiveness of creator work and things like that. I think we're getting better at it, but I think it's definitely underrated for sure.
Yeah. All right, last one here. The Small Agency Awards by Ad Age. Overrated, underrated, properly rated.
I've never been to the conference yet, so
I
can't say. But I would say underrated. I mean, like, I love. Of course, I'm good, but like, I would say underrated just because I really feel like there is a really good sense of camaraderie around this awards. Like, people are excited for it, and there's some, willing to share secrets with each other, and willing to kind of all come together to try and make the independent scene, the smaller agency scene better, to take on bigger pieces of work, to challenge some of the ad giants of the world. It feels like it's a really like an essential need for the industry, I think, and I'm looking forward to going for the first time.
Is this independent? Like, when we say small agency?
Yeah,
is it just like by the size of the agency? Could they be owned by Omnicom IPG? With 100 employees, whatever.
I would say underrated, but yeah, to answer your question, it's independent, small agencies.
Okay.
We define it as no more than 150 employees.
How do you define independent in this?
Well, in the traditional sense, when the conference was started, I think over 10 years ago, if you're, like I said, if you're majority owned by the original founders, so like if you look at like a majority, I believe, right, 30%. Yeah. They're 30% owned by WPP. They're still independent. They're a small agency that counts. Now we'll continue thinking about it, right?
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Continue to think about it,
Interesting.
But that's the definition, and
Okay.
I think it's fair because they still have the decision-making power.
Yeah.
So that's important.
And of course, your answer is underrated. Why?
I think we're seeing more and more small agencies open up every day, and they're going to need to understand like how to run a proper business. Independents are doing great. I hear from consultants and marketers some of the like cons of working with small agencies and independents. So like you need some space to understand how are your peers building their businesses and like what's the next frontier of creativity, you know? And I think there's no place like the Small Agency Conference for that.
I was told this is one of the best conferences / events Ad Age puts on. I'm excited to go for my
I'm
first
looking
year.
forward to it, man. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have JB Smooth and
shout out JB Smooth.
Yeah, is in Toronto this year.
Yeah,
so
I'm doing a Ewan tour.
Doing a Ewan tour. It was in Boston last year.
Yes, and then in Atlanta the year before. So we do their new.
What's next year gonna be?
We don't know yet. You know, give us suggestions. You know,
how about New York?
I mean,
make it nice and easy for us.
I know, right? Yeah.
Or Jersey City.
Let's go to Jersey City.
You did pick the
one
time.
On the path over there.
This is our first time going outside the States, so you picked the one time that it was kind of difficult spot.
They got an NHL team. They got some sports teams. It's close enough.
But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Cool, guys. Well, great episode. Anything else that you guys want to share about yourself or working together as a team? Or about the industry? I know we could talk about the industry forever, but anything we missed that people have to know?
If you're interested in brewing merch, let us know.
Hey,
I'm trying to get
Buchin
it done.
will design that for you.
I'm trying to get it done, so
something that works.
Storm's brewing. How about you, Ewan? All good?
Yeah, all good. No, just thanks so much for having me. It's a dream come true. Good to be here.
I like hanging with you guys.
First of many.
Talking shop, yeah.
Cool.
Cool, guys.
All right, guys.
Peace.